chemistry parents. My name is Mrs. Van Winkle, and I will be teaching your students this year. I'm sure most of them took BioP with me last year, so I look forward to seeing their faces again. I kind of go through a little background on me, so for any new parents who haven't had me before. My lovely family and I went to Alaska 2 summers ago. We have some friends that live there, and they let us come and visit. My husband, CJ, my daughter, Cassidy, and my other daughter, Kerrigan. So this was us in Alaska. I also love sports. So Dallas Cowboys are my favorite football team. The Los Angeles Dodgers are my favorite baseball team. I'm so happy to have baseball back in my life. And I went to UC Irvine and graduated with my degree in biology. Here's some contact information for me as well. My telephone number is my office number, so I may not have access to the phone. But if you want to go ahead and email me, that's usually the best way to get in touch with me. Or you can access the Remind app, which I'll be giving you the code for in order for you guys to be able to text me directly, and I can send you guys messages directly as well. So here's some more pictures of my family. My girls love softball, so there's their softball picture. And then we love to go snow skiing as a family. Okay, so as far as my class requirements go, definitely a desire to learn. I hope your students are excited to learn about chemistry. I love this subject. It's probably my favorite subject to teach. As far as my class goes, it's ran just like BioP was, so I don't require a binder for my class, but some students prefer a binder because it helps them stay organized, but a folder will definitely suffice for my class. Definitely a paper, pencil, and eraser. Flashcards or line paper for vocab terms. Chemistry isn't so vocabulary heavy as biology is, but I still like that the students will keep their vocab terms in some form. So whether that is the word on one side of the flashcard and the definition on the other, or the words and definitions on a piece of lined paper. They can use these terms on their test and also on their final at the end of the semester. So they won't be turning them in to me, but I want to make sure that they get done for every chapter. They'll also need a scientific calculator as well, and especially for distance learning, I don't have access to the calculators in my class, but if we're on campus, I do have a few in my classroom that they can use, but if at all possible, please make sure that they have a calculator. Or if not, a phone. Their cell phone has a calculator app on it that they can access as well. They don't need a graphing calculator by any means, just plus and minus will definitely suffice. They do not need to bring their textbooks to class, so if we are offering classes on campus, they can leave their textbooks at home. Okay, so as far as my course grading goes, the work completed at home will be in the form of portfolios, and they'll be worth 15% of the grade. The parents will have access to answer keys, so I will show you how to access those in just a little bit. But yeah, I like the students to have the correct information on their portfolio in order for them to use their portfolio on the test. So as a parent, I would highly recommend grading their portfolios for correct information. If the students have a few wrong answers, please allow them to correct their mistakes and give them 100% on their portfolio. I want to make sure that they thoroughly understand the material because it will help them tremendously on the day of the test if they have correct information in their portfolio. Most of their bulk of their grade will come for what they do with me in class. So whether that's going to be labs online that we do together, if we get to meet on campus for labs in class, that will basically be the 25% of their grade. The bulk of their grade, the biggest percentage is going to be assessments. So whether that's quizzes that we take, whether that's in class or on Google Forms, or their actual assessments being test scores. Will be the 60% of their grade. So I realize that's a lot, and I'm a big fan of test correction. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that next. As far as quizzes go, it's usually given the first 10 minutes of class. But again, that's basically if we're meeting on campus. If we're meeting on Zoom, there won't be any quizzes, but there will be assessments on Google Forms as far as their tests go at the end of the chapter. But say, for example, at the end of this chapter, if they aren't doing so well and they basically get below a 70%, I do offer tutoring, and they can come in and ask me questions or on Zoom, depending on what we're dealing with at that point. And then they can retake the test, and I'll take that higher grade. If for some reason they get above a 70% and like to do better, say they get a 75%, they could still do test corrections with me, and I will allow them to correct their mistakes, and then it'll raise their test score at 10%. So instead of a 75%, they're now at an 85%. So again, retakes for 70% or below, and then test corrections for 70% or above. So I want to make sure we get rid of that test anxiety, because I know that's, a really big deal for the students to stress out about tests. So I'm hoping this will help their anxiety a little. All right, so as far as my Remind code, if you'll please type in that code to 81010, that's the best way to get in touch with me other than email, and I will be sending out messages letting you know, hey, this is due. Don't forget to submit this. Don't forget there's a test tomorrow, and so forth. So please, please, please sign up for Remind if at all possible. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the answer keys next. Give you guys another few seconds to get that down. All right. So the next thing I want to get into is the answer keys. And this is ran a little bit differently than BioP, only because I give them different worksheets. So it just depends on what worksheets are in their packet. But if you go ahead and click on this page will open. And then if you go to Schools, Bakersfield High School, and then Resources, Home Educator Answer Keys, you'll click on Science. And then down below is the chemistry class. I put the syllabus as well, so all the information is written to you there on syllabus. But you'll notice there's many different options on worksheets. I give them. Say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and open their first portfolio. So this is basically what their worksheets will look like. So you'll notice it says challenge problems at the top. So you may have to flip through and figure out, what answer key to use as far as what their worksheet is called. But for this one, it will be challenge problems. So for history, you'll notice the challenge problems will be right there. So any worksheet basically that says challenge problems, that is the worksheet you'll need to use. You scroll down, you'll notice this one says study guide. So then if you go back to the answer key website, you'll notice that this one says study guide at the top. So that's basically what answer key you will use in order to grade that worksheet and so forth. So this is basically what the portfolio looks like. All of the worksheets will be included in this packet, so they only need to add whatever textbook work I give them. So that'll be questions out of their textbook, and I'll show you what that looks like. But all of these worksheets, you'll have access to the answer keys online. So as far as their portfolio evaluation sheet and their agenda goes, this is going to be on the very first part of their portfolio. So this will let you know on August 31st, that's when the portfolio is due, and that's when they'll be taking their test on Google Forms, which is on Google Classroom, which I will show the kids how to do. But if they had me last year, it's going to be ran the same way as BioP was at the end of the year. So all of these worksheets, like I said, are going to be included in this packet, unless it says, read such and such pages out of your textbook and then answer questions 6 to 8 out of your textbook. So there are going to be some work that they'll need to work on a piece of lined paper or graph paper, whatever they prefer, and then attach to the end of their portfolio. Okay. So at the end of two, basically will have total points given. So if you're going through and they're not doing so well, please review the material with them in order for them to correct their mistakes so they can get 100% on their portfolio. My goal is that all students will get 100%. All of them have correct information to use the day of the test, because again, they can use their portfolio on their test. The other thing is going to be their agenda. And again, I know this is a lot of this information you guys are used to, but if you guys will notice, again, the vocabulary at the top, so that will basically be what you guys make your flashcards or piece of lined paper with words and definitions out of. And then this is basically how I would pace myself if I was taking the class, just so it's not so overwhelming. But if you as the student parent decide, hey, I want to go through 2 days worth of chemistry in 1 day, that's fine. That's completely up to you. I just basically set this up just so it wasn't so overwhelming on a day-to-day basis. But you'll notice basically on the last day, it'll tell you, hey, make sure you study for your test. Your test will be on Google Forms, and I usually give them until midnight that night. So again, they have plenty of time. I have some students that prefer to work late into the night. That's completely up to them. So I don't give them a time limit as long as they take it that day, just sometime that day. So that's basically what their agenda looks like as well. So I'm hoping that I answered most of your questions. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help any way I can. Again, the best way to get in touch with Remind or email. So yeah, please get on Remind if at all possible. I look forward to having your students in class this year. Thank you.